All right, we are live. Hello once again, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris, and this is my channel, We Love Comics. And I got an unboxing video that I want to do. I said I was going to do it the other day. I just had too many things that were going on and just wasn't in the mood to do a video, and that's the wrong time to make one. I don't want to make one just to make it. So I had this past couple of days. I want to do the unboxing with you guys live. And as always, I appreciate anybody that takes the time to watch one of my videos. And if you want to join in to the live chat, come on over and get your voices heard. You don't even have to be a subscriber. We would love to have you here. So as I'm waiting for people to come in, I want to show with the thumbnail art, I thought I'd do something a little comical. That's a plus-sized Poison Ivy. So if you want to make any comment about my AI thumbnail art, please do. If you see the comics that are scrolling on the bottom of that screen, speaking of big things, I'm looking to get acquired some big boy comics. So if you contact me, peacefulfeelings@yahoo.com, if you have any of the comics that are scrolling by that you would be willing to trade. I made a video back in about November of last year showing about 30 to 35 different graded comics that I would be willing to trade to acquire any of those books. If you're one of those people that has one, please contact me at peacefulfeelings@yahoo.com. I would love to show my viewers that you don't only need money to acquire things. Sometimes if you just try different ways to do things, you'd be amazed at how things can be achieved. So, yeah, so that's it with that. We got Algorithm in the live chat. Welcome, everybody. It's not showing any data, so hopefully people can hear me, but it doesn't show how many people are viewing and how many people have hit the like button, but that's okay. Let's put on the video camera. Now, this was another one of those quote-unquote deals, because the fact is the person that was selling these comics did not have a best offer. So I contacted them, asked for an offer. We went back and forth a little bit. But, of course, when I do the unboxing after I show the books, it looks like there's no protection, so I have to be very careful cutting this open, because I have a feeling they just put the comics in here. And I always contact people, ask them how they could package the comics to well protect them. Not everybody listens, but, you know, what are you going to do? So, yeah, they just put the comics in here. Was there? All right, well, they put a little protection, if you want to call that protection. But it doesn't look like the comics got damaged at all. So we'll go according to their value. I will be changing the bags and boards on this, but I basically bought it for one comic. The others, you know, some of them are okay keys, minor keys. Some don't have, I don't think, any value at all. But I factor it in anyway. Hey, Trade Paper Dad, welcome. Haven't seen you in a live show in a while. Says, did you hear the latest CGC scandal? If it's anything in the past couple of days, no. So if you want to enlighten me or post a link, please do. I can't wait to see that. And how many CGC lovers will ignore it. I've been trying to warn people about that company for years, but people didn't want to listen. But let's focus on this, and if you want to post any information, we can always talk about it afterwards. So the first book is 9 people, 4 likes. Thank you. Yeah, it's not showing anything, that kind of information. Hey, Mighty Comics and Collectibles is here. Welcome. So, yeah, so thank you for that update. So the 4 people that hit the like button, thank you. For some reason, it does not show the viewers or likes today. So the first book, this is a nothing book as far as I believe. It's Preacher number 12. I think there might be a death of a character or something. I actually really liked this TV show. I think it had 3 seasons. I only watched the first 2. I never got around to watching the third one. And it wasn't because I didn't like it. I think it was right around the time I was moving. And then, you know, all things said and done, I just really never went back to it. But I think I might rewatch that entire series. So to me, the Preacher TV series was a really good series. So, yeah, I'll have to go back into that. So that's the first one. And then, of course, as usual, I will go over the prices and stuff. Trade Paper Dad says, employees stealing books, making labels, and selling on eBay. Awesome. I'll talk about that after this. Yeah. So let's go over the book. So thank you for that. Collect What is here. He says, what's up? Apparently there's a new CGC controversy. But showing 5 books that I bought. I mainly bought it for 1 book. The others are basically throw-ins. But I kind of split the price of what each one would be valued as. The next one is Frank Miller's Sin City, A Dame to Kill For. Issue 1 of 6. Again, I don't think this book has any high value. I'm definitely going to be changing these bags and boards because, like I've said in previous videos, you can always spot a dog owner. This one I've never had before. Actually, I've never had most of these except for the last 2. Looks to be in pretty good condition. Most people may not know about this. This is Razor Annual 1, which is actually the first appearance of the character She, S-H-I, which was an independent character of an Asian superhero. I don't know if that character was developed with Image Comics or not, but I know she had a one-shot with Witchblade, so it's that kind of, like, 90s kind of character. So I don't think this book is majorly expensive. Of course, it depends on the grade. But I thought that was an interesting one. Then the next one, again, and they didn't put a backing board. But we got Preacher #1. I have, I think, 1 or 2 copies of this book. Again, you know, a TV series I absolutely love. And I will have to go back and watch it. But if you haven't seen that show, it was actually really good. But this is primarily what I bought it for. And this seems to be in high grade. They didn't put it in a bag and board. They just put it in one of these Mylar ones with the fold over. Which I hate these things. So let's take a look at this. So if Mr. White Gloves is watching, I'm going in raw. Just want to make sure. It'd be cool if it was a different kind, but oh, these staples are intact. Looks to be in pretty high grade. It looks like it's got maybe 1 or 2 non-color breaking creases. But here's the book I bought it. The reason why I bought it, X-Men number 266, which is the first appearance of Gambit, arguably. But it is a newsstand variant and in very high grade. Corners look nice and sharp. I do not see any color creases. And the one thing I like is normally if you look at the X-Men 266, they tend to have a cutoff that almost clips the top of where it says the Uncanny. This one doesn't have that. So that's cool. Now, that's not somebody trimming the book. That was a manufacturer's error. But there's a lot of them, even in 9.8s, where they cut it manufacturing, and it would almost clip the very top of the word the Uncanny. But that doesn't happen in this one, so that's cool. So, let's go over what the price is. And then I'll go over this thing about what's going on. Because this is the first I'm hearing about it, but it's not shocking at this point. The person listed this whole entire bundle for $200. There was no best offer. So I contacted them, and I said, would you take $150 for this bundle? The person came back and they said, I can't take $150, but I'll offer $175, and then changed the auction to $175 by it now. And I said, that's a little bit higher than what I'm willing to pay for this, because basically the only book that has the value in it is really the X-Men. The others are kind of throw-ins, even though, you know, Preacher #1 still has some value. I said, I really would have to stick with the $150. If you can't do it, I completely understand. But if you change your mind, you know, please let me know. And I said, you know, good luck with your sale. And literally within 5 minutes or less, they came back after they said no. And it said, you know what? I'll do it for the $150, and accepted my offer of $150. So they changed the auction again to say buy it now for $150. And that's what I bought it for. If this was to come back a 9.8 and a newsstand, I will do very well on this. Now, it does have another non-color breaking crease, So pressing will help this because it does not have any color breaks, and these staples are bright silver. And again, this is probably the best manufactured trimmed, well, not trimmed, but cut version of this book I've seen. Because like I said, if you own one of these, you could see a lot of them have it cut off. Let me see if I have one handy. I don't believe I do. Yeah, there's another one. I have one handy. And just to show you what I'm talking about, look how close a lot of them are this way. See how it's basically touching the word uncanny in this version? So a lot of them were cut that way. So this one is probably the best one I've seen, especially when it comes to this being a newsstand. So I think for $150, it came out with shipping and handling and taxes, came out to $169.94. So if I break it down, where the Preacher number 12, let's just say it was worth $5. The Sin City book, I looked them up around $10 and higher, so I'll just mark it as 10. The Razor Annual, which is the first She, I put as $25. I've seen higher, but I'm always going at the lower end. And Preacher number 1 for $49. I've seen it go much higher than that. I paid for the after dividing it out in that way, the Uncanny X-Men 266, quote-unquote first Gambit, newsstand variant, high grade, I paid $80.94 on. So I really think I did a good deal on this one. And again, it was another person that just had them listed as a buy it now. They did not have a best offer. And if you've seen this year alone, I think there have been at least 4 times, if not more, in this year alone, where there were people that did not even have best offers available on their auctions, and I contacted them, and some of them flat out said no, and instead of me just leaving the conversation at that or giving back a sarcastic thing, I basically said to each one of them, it's like, oh, I completely understand, no need to apologize, things like that, and said things like, you know, if you change your mind, don't hesitate to contact me, and I wish them luck on their sale. And I guess that, like, they're not used to people responding in such a kind way, that every single one of them, I think maybe except for one, accepted my offers or did a counter offer that was reasonable enough to where I thought it was worth it. So I cannot stress enough about not being afraid to make deals. So, again, I can't see how many viewers and how many likes. I know the last time somebody said there were like 10 viewers and like 4 people hit the like button. So to the people that hit the like button, you know, I always appreciate that. So let me know what you think about what I paid for this. Would you have paid for that? Because like I said, it only has, from what I see, about 3 or 4 areas where there's light bends or little indents, but none of them break color. So this has 9.8 potential. Now, I always say potential because, you know, nothing is guaranteed. But even if it came back a 9.4 or a 9.6 with a newsstand, I think I did pretty good overall, considering the other books are basically throw-ins. So if you want to leave a comment about that, please do. And if you want to hit the like button, even though I can't tell how many people have hit it, by all means, please do. But let me read some of the comments, and then I'll go over that quote-unquote controversy. So let's first pick today's surprise subscriber shout-outs. We're going to go with Trade Paper Dad as 1 for giving me that information. And we're going to go with Captain Kamikana. I think I pronounced that right. And so he says, or she, I don't want to assume, we were right about CGC, and they called us names. CGC staff were scamming us all along, even when Matt Nelson said they weren't. Well, the ironic part is, no one ever admits wrongdoing. I mean, how many people, unless they're caught with a video camera on them, you know, there's a reason why there was once a song called It Wasn't Me, I think it was by Nelly. You know, no one is ever going to admit when they do something wrong, especially a business owner, because as soon as they did that, all credibility would be out the window, and then their businesses would be destroyed. You're killing me with the freak AI. Yeah, I thought I'd try something different for once. So I actually have a bunch of different characters I did as like very overweight characters. I think there's another one I did of Ant-Man. One I did of Superman, which came out really funny. So I might do other ones at a later date. But I thought this one was by far the funniest. So apparently Poison Ivy has gone off her vegetarian vegan diet and has gained a few bits of muscle. Now, as Cartman once says, I'm not fat, I'm big boned. So she's just big boned in areas that don't have bones. But hey, you know, beggars can't be choosers. So let me go over this controversy. But first, let's the surprise subscriber shout outs. If you want to post a link to either a video or a specific video or your YouTube channel if you make videos, you can post the link in the comment section once this video uploads. If you don't have that or you'd prefer to do a link to one of your social networks, you can do that instead. Or if you don't want to do that and you sell anything on like Amazon or eBay or any of those places, and again, as usual, it does not have to be comic book related. As long as whatever you are selling or promoting is kid-friendly, I have no problem helping promote your business, your network, or your channel. So I'll leave it up to you which one of the three you decide. Keep in mind, when you place a link in the comment section, it will not show up. It will go directly into the spam because I do verify all links. So this way, there's no person trying to spam pornographic or, you know, spam some kind of advertisement that was not supposed to be there. So if you do see a link when you browse the comment section, and I hope you do, please, if you see a link, it means it has been verified. Go support those other channels. Go see what they're selling and maybe join their networks. So again, before I get into the controversy, if you look on the bottom of the screen right below, right in a crucial area of Poison Ivy, there's a bunch of books I'm looking to acquire via trade. So if anybody has an extra one of these books, please contact me, peacefulfeelings@yahoo.com. I may do an updated video because I've gotten a lot of new comics since I did that video back in November. So I might add some new comics of that I would be willing to trade to get one or all of those books. And if I need to trade multiple books, as long as it's a fair trade, I have no problem with doing that. So please contact me at peacefulfeelings@yahoo.com. So Agu says 14 people are watching and 12 likes. So almost everybody hit the like button. Thank you for that. Let's give some other shout outs to the people that have just arrived. Sequential Geek is here. Comic Journey, my Greek pretending to be an Italian, or Italian pretending to be a Greek. I'm not sure which one it is. But welcome. Canadian Survivalist says, just picked up logo and $2.66 for $3 Canadian. In US dollars, I think that's like 18 cents. So pretty good deal. You can't go wrong. Now, picked up Lobo, is that his first appearance? Or did you just literally see him and lift him up in the air? So I would assume you're talking about the first appearance of Lobo. But $3 Canadian, that's a steal. All right, so let's get into this really quick. I have not heard about this new controversy until just now. Trade Paper Dad is the one that asked me about it. Yeah, he also writes, did the community decide which book is First Gambit 266 of the annual? Everybody says it's 266. It's debatable at this point. Once people make up their minds, it's just going to stick no matter what. I mean, annual number 10 is not a cameo. He has speaking parts in multiple panels. A cameo is supposed to be something where, you know, like Hulk 180, where they just show the character. Sometimes they will just show a shadow. Like, for example, the first 2 cameo appearances of Mary Jane, where they don't even speak. So it's very controversial, but I say it's better to collect both of them so you don't have to worry and you'll get yourself covered by acquiring both books. But the main one everybody seems to want more is the Uncanny X-Men number 266. But like I said, if you collect both, then you don't have to worry. All right, so Trade Paper Dad did say that employees are stealing books, making labels, and selling on eBay. Now, does that mean they are stealing the books that were switched in the controversial CGC label swaps? Or are these other books? Because like I've said in other videos, there was no way that it was only 350 books and only one scammer. I mean, that's like saying there's, of all the crimes that have happened throughout the world, it's just one criminal. So the reality is that CGC, if this is true, and I'm just basing it on what I'm seeing right now. So I can only say allegedly, because I don't know any situation other than what is being presented to me at this particular moment. So I'm basing it on a hypothetical question or statement of this situation based on a hypothetical. CGC at this point will be destroying itself. Now, of course, any company or any dirty politician or anyone that does wrong is going to always deny it. How many honest criminals are out there? I mean, we have to be realistic about things. No criminal, when they're caught, just says, oh, well, you got me, I might as well admit every single thing. There are plenty of people that will go to their graves saying they were completely innocent, knowing that 100% they were not. So it does not surprise me that companies will deny wrongdoing. Even wrongdoing they blatantly know may be happening. The problem is not, at this point, the problem is not with CGC. The problem is going to be with anyone that has a vested interest financially with the company that happens to make and promote CGC content on their channels, on whether they do the right thing and call them out for their thievery and trickery, if this is accurate, or whether they choose to continue to stay silent or just continue to make videos like nothing ever happened. So, at this point, there's a saying, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Now, I have been trying to warn people about CGC for years, only to be mocked, ignored, criticized, told I was crazy, conspiracy, tinfoil hat wearing, Kool-Aid drinking, conspiracy theorist. How many times have I heard that before, of all the things I've been proven right over the years on not only this channel, but on my other channel, which got basically shut down, even though it's still there. I can't make videos on YouTube on my other channel because they don't like truth. They only like people who follow the narrative. So CGC, if this information is true, if you choose to continue to do business with them at this point, that should tell you all you need to know about those channels and what is their priority. Now, if this is something new and somebody made a submission 5 months ago to CGC, then you cannot hold those people accountable, because that would mean they submitted their books way before this information came out. And since CGC is not famous for bringing books back in a 30-day timely manner, like they claim, even if you spend for expedited shipping, we have to make sure we understand who sent in what and when they did it. But if somebody is about to submit to CGC at this point, and this information is proven correct and accurate, and these things have been happening, I would question the motives behind those that are still going to ship to the company that is doing allegedly borderline criminal, if not criminal, activity. It's kind of disappointing at this point because it will destroy credibility. But you know what? It's all going to depend on the individual. Now, people have bashed PGX for years and years and years. The good thing I have is that every single PGX book I have, minus maybe 3 or 4 that I bought years ago before I had the deal with PGX, They are raw comics that I show when I send them out. I show them when they come back. And people know that my books are 100% legit because I've documented each and every one. People are not going to be looking at CGC the same way ever again. Especially, I mean, you got to look at politics. Look at the situation that happened during the, let's use Scooby terminology, over Rovid, where people that said, like, for example, wearing a mask actually will protect you from microscopic particles as a silly gesture and not accurate, were called conspiracy theorists and actually silenced, and their channels could be shut down on YouTube. And it was proven right that staying 6 feet back from an airborne virus, or I'm sorry, virus, according to Scooby-Doo, means that it's absolutely insane. And they've actually admitted that it was a made-up number and it did absolutely nothing. You find over time that the ones that are called conspiracy theorists are the ones that tend to be right. See, people have to understand the word conspiracy theorist was actually a term that was created by the CIA in order to discredit anyone with information that would oppose an agenda. Because if you actually look at the word conspiracy, the word conspiracy means if more than two people conspire to do something. So right now, you are all, because I am assuming there's more than two people, even though my it does not indicate for some reason. If more than two of you are watching this right now, you're all conspiring. But if you say crazy conspiracy theorist, people tend to do what? Call you crazy and avoid you. So the information that you give that basically is just people questioning things that just don't seem right are easily avoided. And that happens even with companies like CGC. It's called deflection, where you make fun of the people that are calling you out for your BS or your potential criminal activities or your thievery or your nonsense, or you just flat out Bolshevik. By their deeds you shall know them. And at this point, any of these larger or any groups that have the CGCs exclusively on their walls, that only will talk in terms of CGC as value, if they ignore this, they are giving a disservice to their viewers and will ultimately destroy the credibility of the comic book community, and all the values of their CGC books will plummet. The very thing that they're trying to avoid, which is the value of their comics going down, will ultimately happen through their silence. Because like I said, if there's a fire in your house, it sucks and it might have destroyed things. But if you sit there and avoiding it and pretending it's not there, it's going to destroy your entire house. So sometimes you need to focus on putting out that fire and don't worry about the little bit that gets damaged, because you'll have saved your house. But people, because of their greed, for most part, and I'm not saying everybody, but especially the bigger channels out there who should know better, who have on multiple occasions been caught doing unethical things for their quote-unquote love of comics, they need to start speaking up at this point. And if they don't, it's just going to get worse and worse. More situations will come out, because here it is, like, you see what's going on in the world right now. And I think I said at the end of last year or the beginning of this year, 2024, in my opinion, is going to be the year of revealing things. The world is going to know a lot of things. And we've already seen a bunch of things being revealed if you are the type of person that pays attention to what's going on. Once you have one person, you can have decades, centuries, millennia of silence, because you can make people disappear, or they can self-terminate, allegedly, like Epstein. and you could scare people into submission and silence. But once there is one person brave enough to slip through the cracks and say enough is enough, and they speak out, see, the first people are going to be called crazy because they're going to be talking about things that go against what you've been programmed to believe. Whether you don't believe or you do believe, the word lie is straight in the middle. Because whether you believe or don't believe, you don't know. So both of you are wrong. But the first couple of people will be called the crazy conspiracy theorists. But after a couple of people come out, it creates the ability for some that were scared to speak up. All of a sudden, they start seeing more and more people on their side, and slowly but surely the truth comes out, where people have had enough. That's what's going on with the company of CGC right now, if what people are telling me here is 100% accurate, or even 25% accurate. The more people stay silent when wrongdoing is happening, the more people will be inclined to speak out, and more people will join in and finally say, enough is enough. I need to speak my mind. I've been holding my tongue. I've been trying to stay out of the mix, and now I think I have nothing more to lose. I'm going to start spilling the beans. And that's what's starting to happen now. For years, my channel was attacked for, God forbid, going up against the mighty CGC. And I've always said they were number one. But they were not infallible. They were not a company that did no wrong. And I was not afraid to call out any company for their wrongdoing, even the ones I do deals with. And that is exactly why, with both PGX and EGS, I have no contract signed. I do not get paid. I am under no obligation. No one tells me what I can and cannot say. I will not do business with a company that tries to tell me what I can and cannot say. There's a reason why in this United States of America corporation, we have a thing allegedly called free speech. Anyone that tells you, well, you can't say this, they are trying to take away that right and that freedom of yours. So companies will deny to no end, and some even after they've been caught. And that spreads the fire. If people would just own up, because you know what? Companies can make mistakes. There are sometimes bad apples. The right way to do it is say, we caught this in time. We apologize for any inconvenience that may have happened. We have fired those people. We wanted to give full transparency. We're going to fix this so it does not happen again. Staying quiet or making fun of or group attacking people to try and keep the information silent shows what scumbags even people in companies that you think you trust can get. How many of you at this point are going to see like, for example, an Uncanny X-Men 266 CGC 9.8 newsstand Mark Jewelers variant for $12,000 and say, I have complete trust that that is exactly what that book is? How many of you out there have now started questioning when you look on eBay and see these high prices of these books, and at least question in your mind, is that legit? I know I have. When I see, and a lot of people are trying to dump their books in hopes that somebody that doesn't know this information will take them off the hook and buy their books, which basically they're saying this book could potentially be fake, so instead of cracking it open and finding out and taking the loss, I'm going to do a scumbag thing and sell it to somebody else, and it will then be their problem and no longer mine. That is an unfortunate character flaw in many people. You notice, and I still have them up on my channel, when I had a comic book that was wrongfully graded by PGX, and I'm talking about big time wrong. I'm not talking about a 5.5 that becomes a 6.0, because a 0.5 difference can be so minute, that's just down to human interpretation. But I'm talking about a book like I've had, or I think I thought it was a 3 to a 3.5, and it came back a 6.5. I tore that thing open live. I cracked it open and tore it out and resubmitted it. I had a Hulk 181 that did not have the Marvel stamp. And when it came back, it did not indicate the stamp was missing. That was a mistake. I could have easily said, oh, well, I can take advantage of this and I can turn around and sneakily sell it on eBay and make a lot more money than that book is worth. But I cracked it open and resubmitted it, telling them to make sure they mark it as no value stamp. It's called integrity. And my channel has suffered over the years from people making assumptions about me, making accusations about me, making falsehoods about me, and really being mad at my purpose of just trying to warn people that unfortunately there are bad people out there with bad intentions, and even though it may affect your bottom line, you might not want to buy stolen goods, you might not want to buy corrupt items, you may not want to give your money to a company that could not do things the way you believe them to be doing just because it benefits you financially, because you'll be burned in the end. I'm not burned in this whole situation. And I have CGC books. And that's why, for example, and this was before I even knew about the whole situation, right before the situation came out, I happened to send in my X-Men #1 CGC 3.0 because, like I said, if you didn't watch the video, it had a cracked case because when we moved, the case cracked, and it looked like it had pressable defects, and it still came back a 3.0, but now I know at least it's still a 3.0. It's not like a 2.0 restored because somebody switched it. So I have peace of mind. And the people who, if I ever sell that book, will know that that book was in a CGC case. It was cracked open. I showed the book, sent it in, and it came back a 3.0. Which makes you wonder. Because like I said, the reason I sent it in, not only for the cracked case, the whole spine had a pressable defect. So what if it was one that was switched and maybe somebody put in a 2.0? And the pressing actually brought it back up to a 3. I may never know. But at least I know I have peace of mind. How many people that are dealing with CGC right now have that and would be willing to honestly admit that? So many people online are basically fake and put on a little show, and they are nothing like they appear in real life. If you watch the live interview that I had on the Comic Book G-Man's channel, I think it was almost a week ago at this point, the people that met me at the flea market said I was exactly in real life the way I am online. And I've always been that way. Even when I went on dates with people before I got married, I never put on a show. I never tried to be something to impress somebody. I always had the mentality of, here I am, you either like me or you don't like me. If you don't like me, then at least you're not wasting my time. I never understood people that would put on a facade and pretend to be something just to impress somebody who ultimately they weren't. Because you might get somebody, but you're definitely not going to keep somebody. And I've seen, not just in the comic book quote-unquote community, I've seen all over YouTube how many fake people over the top. Like, if I see a thumbnail where somebody does a Home Alone pose, I don't care what the video is, I don't care who it is, I will not watch it. I think that is the most pathetic thing, especially when people do reaction videos, and I've seen it in the comic book community. If you do a thumbnail with a Home Alone pose, I'm sorry, I'm not watching your video, because I can already tell you're going to be a wannabe actor and probably really bad at it, and you're doing that to get people to want to have interest in you, because that's not you. Nobody acts like that in real life. And if you do, I'm glad I don't know you. The problem is, too many people that you may watch and put your trust in may be very likable, but you have to ask yourself, are they likable because they're putting on a show? Or are they likable because they're saying things that sound good to you, that have your particular bias in mind? Because that's important. And I think that's why so many people hate me. or have issues with me over the years, because I'm very blunt, but I'm very real. I don't pretend to put on a facade. What you see is what you get. And I think that's why, even though I may not have a lot of people watching, I'm sure there's maybe 20 people watching at a crazy level, maybe 25, because like I said, I can't see the views or the likes. I at least know the people that are watching, I see the same names over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Which means they appreciate me being real with them, being honest with them. You know, a parent that tells their children what they want to hear is a bad parent. Kids don't need best friends. They need parents, which means they need people to guide them through their own wisdom to help them gear towards a good, healthy, potential life. And that means sometimes a thing called tough love, where sometimes you can't placate. You gotta sometimes say, this is wrong, and call people out. If what CGC is doing is wrong, I would be surprised they have a business at this point. But they'll keep going. They'll deny things. They'll keep going on the attack, because that's what people do. They always deflect. But once you have a bad reputation, it's hard to get rid of. Just look at what PGX is going through. Something that actually ended up not being true. I have been dealing with PGX now for 6 years. Send in 4 comics every month for 6 years plus. Every single video in those 6 years have been documented, both when I send them and when I receive them. Not one case has ever been cracked. Not one comic has ever gone missing. Not one comic has ever been switched. And people want to still to this day, when they say, oh, what are the best companies? They'll say CGC and CBCS. They won't even put PGX in the equation. If you're putting CGC at the top of the list now after all this stuff that's going on, I question your integrity. Flat out. Whether I like you or not has nothing to do with it. There's an old saying, especially an old Italian saying, it's nothing personal, it's just business. And if you want to watch these channels, and I'm not calling anybody specifically out, I'm sure most of you are smart enough to know the channels that I am referring to. And there is not one or two. There are many. There are some I'm even subscribed to, because I'm subscribed to a lot of YouTube channels. If you are promoting CGC at this point, that is now potentially going into criminal activity of potentially stealing people's books and selling them for their own financial gain. If you're promoting a company like that, you're not somebody I want to deal with. Now, again, I will always give people the benefit of the doubt. If they did not know about this, well, that's different. But now, if you know and you still do it, then you're just as bad. Accountability, especially with viewers. You need to call people out. You need to make sure that people know about this. You need to not allow them to continue to be silent. Because you think CGC values are going to go up at this point? Comic Journey asks, do you have IG? I do not. I hate social networks. I've never been on TikTok, never been on Instagram. I hate the fact that I'm even on Facebook. I think the last good social network I was on was MySpace. But I don't have... I think I had a Twitter account. I think I signed up for one, but I think I've used it maybe a total of 4 times in my life. But I just hate social networks because it's basically full of a bunch of fake people that pretend to be something they're not to get views and likes and money. I think it's disgusting. But like I say, you reap what you sow. And I've warned people for the longest time, by their deeds you shall know them. If CGC at this point, I don't know, are they admitting this is wrong or did they get caught? And if they're admitting that this has been happening, allegedly, what are they doing about it? How long has it been going on? How do you communicate with community members? Well, by community members, if you mean my viewers, I just contact them here. They talk to them here. People can contact me at my email address, peacefulfeelings@yahoo.com. But you're assuming I'm popular enough that people don't want to communicate with me. Like you could see right now, I probably have 20 people watching the video. So I don't get a lot of people, let alone anybody wanting to contact me. People are still afraid. The actual person, Comic Book G-Man, was actually told me that people were giving him a little bit of slack for wanting me on their channel. I'm supposedly the bad guy in the comic book community, and yet I'm one of the few that calls everything out before it happens. Try and warn people, try and get people to think better, and actually acting in a very real way. Because like they say, when you speak the truth, you don't have to have a good memory. You notice any stories I've ever told have always been accurate because I've never changed them, because they're parts of my experience, not parts of my thought process of making up a story. Hey, comic, if you ever want to do an interview with me, by all means. I mean, if you have a YouTube channel and you want to contact me, please, like I did with Comic Book G-Man. If you see that video, it's actually, I think, one of his more watched live shows and actually twice as long. And it was funny. He even said at the end he couldn't believe that 4 hours went by that fast. And it was a lot of fun. And Trade Paper Dad says, there is a lawsuit filed against 2 employees. No official statement from CGC yet. How long has this been going on? So, of course, no official statement. What does that tell you about CGC? If this situation is genuine and accurate. Remember, when the whole label situation happened, how long did it take for CGC to say anything? It's by their deeds you shall know them, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what more I can say, because it's going to fall on mostly deaf ears, because most people are not going to listen. Most people are never going to see these videos. There are many people that will just thumb down they'll come here just to thumb down the video, which for some reason they think bothers me. I don't even check because I don't even care. And it's never stopped me anyway, even if I did. I always found that funny. See, to me, there are plenty of YouTube channels. Let's just stick with comic book channels. There are plenty of the larger channels that are basically hypocrites, way before this situation happened, that I won't watch. Because I may not like them. But yet I'll never go to their videos to go thumb them down. I mean, that's something you do when you're 15. It's like, you really think you're hurting somebody? Oh, I don't like that person, so I'm going to hit a thumb down button. That'll show them. You really think any of these people really give a rat's behind? It's so sad. Or somebody writing a comment, I'm unsubscribing. Oh no. Instead of 22 viewers, I'll have 21 viewers? Oh my. Whatever shall I do? It's to me, it's just pathetic at this point. So the fact, if this is accurate and CGC is aware of it at this point, and they're not saying anything, let's just put it this way. What do you think that means, ladies and gentlemen? I'll just assume gentlemen, because it says, according to my analytics, 100% of the people that watch me are men. So we'll just assume it's gentlemen. Trade Paper Dad says Squaggle House reported the story and had more details on his channel. Now other YouTube channels are chiming in. Well, that's good. Most people are followers instead of leaders. I just really don't care about CGC anymore. Once I made this deal with PGX and now with EGS, and the fact that they've never done me wrong. I mean, yes, once or twice. I say, actually, in the 6 years, I say like 3 or 4 times they made mistakes. In the grand scheme of things, 3 or 4 times out of 4 books every month for 6 years, and only 3 or 4 books I viewed as a mistake, that's a pretty damn good ratio. But I can call Daniel Patterson on the phone, same with Tony over at EGS if I want to. They've actually listened to my advice, both companies. They are willing to take information Those are the companies I want to deal with, and I can give a damn if somebody else doesn't want to deal with them or has something bad to say. If you're going to say something bad about PGX and look the other way at CGC, you're in it for the money. Why is CGC so popular, ladies and gentlemen? Because they get the best, the highest resale value. And that's not me saying it. That's like 500 different channels. And 5,000 different comments you'll see on anybody promoting any grading company. There'll always be somebody, well, why didn't you use CGC? They're the #1 selling, highest selling comic. You think that's going to stay that way with all these things going on? Provided you get your book back? You don't have the case crack? I see video after video of major CGC problems all the time, and people keep giving them free pass after free pass after free pass after free pass after free pass. If people want to be that dumb, you can't fix stupid. Yeah, as Forrest Gump once said, stupid is as stupid does. If people want to keep using a business that has all these situations happening, and you want to look a blind eye, and like I said, if somebody sent in books to CGC 5 months ago before all this happened, you can't hold those people at the same level. I'm talking about the ones that are in the know. So if a person, like you said, Swaggle House said it, and they said a bunch of others started following, so I don't know who's made videos on it because I haven't been following any of this information. But if any of those people that have CGC books on their wall put this information out, and then, you know, a day later, a week later, a month later, they start making their CGC videos and saying how great they are and all this other blah, blah, blah stuff, showing their constant 9.8s. And when they get a 9.6, you think their grandmother passed away. Or they'll be so angry that they have to resubmit it 50 times, not including the price of how much you're going to cost to resubmit it each time through shipping, insurance, and fees, raising how much the cost of the book is and lowering how much profit you'll actually get. I mean, the mentality of some people, you don't factor these things in. Every time you resubmit a book, you are now reducing the amount of profit you say you're going to make with a higher CGC value. It blows my mind. Comic Journey says, nobody should get a free pass. Follow Texas example. Well said, good sir. I know what you mean, and I agree 100%, which I find ironic that the Ryden administration, according to Scooby-Doo, says they just want their federal agents to do their job. Well, has any reporter said, well, excuse me, what is your job? If Texas has put up all this wire and is actually stopping people that should be coming into the country legally, if it's stopping them, then what is your job? Maybe their job is, because you have to be careful. You have to understand what people say. There's a thing called legalese, and that's how they trick most people in the world. You have to listen to the meanings of the words that are said, because government officials use specific words that if you don't know what they truly mean, you will think is regular language. Like, I'll give you a prime example, and you could look this up and verify it. If you look up the word citizen under legalese, under a legal dictionary definition, the legal court definition of citizen is a corporation. You ever wonder why politicians call people citizens? You just think it's a regular word. People need to learn these things. And no reporter asks the question why on any news channel, and that includes Fox News or News Nation or any of those things, because trust me, I am in the know. I know more on my little finger than most people know in their entire lifetime. Like I said, go to my channel, Barnon11970. I was talking about fake news back in 2012, before Trump was even thinking about running for election. Sequential Geek says, look at her, is that a woke version of Poison Ivy? Well, isn't she perfect? You don't want to body shame, do you? That should be the epitome of a modern woman, strong and beautiful, with no flaws in any way, and can do every single thing humanly possible. I always find it funny how modern women these days think equality is doing everything that a man does. How is that equality when you're just trying to copy somebody else? No, I know what you meant, sequential. I'm just being sarcastic, using a little sarcastic humor. If you really think I meant what I just said, then we need to talk, sequential. You obviously don't know my sarcasm. It's called being facetious. What is a W? I always find that funny. The fact that we have people in government throughout the world who could not tell you the difference between a man and a woman should tell you everything you need to know about what's wrong with this world at this point. I mean, to me, it's stunning, because 50 years from now, when they teach history, they're going to see this as the most ridiculous time in history. Which, by the way, if you take the word history and break it into different parts, it's called his story. Because, you know, only the person that survives the war is alive to tell what happened in the war. Even if what they tell is not true. Because the losing side is no longer alive to verify the accuracy of a situation. No, so Quincha says he was being sarcastic too. Well, it's harder to see when you're typing something. You can't get inflection from written word. But, you know, I'll go on my tangents. People seem to like it. There are many people who will not watch this, and you know what? I don't care. You know, like I've said in the past, it isn't the masses who change the world. It is the individual that changes the world. It's the Einsteins of the world. It's the Nikola Teslas of the world. It's the Socrates or the Jesuses of the world. Whether they're real or not, I'll leave that up to you. The point is, the masses do nothing but follow what feels right and makes them feel safe in their own little bubble. And what people don't understand, because you need to follow your instincts and your internals, not what you understand, standing under authority. That's what understand means, standing under somebody else's authority. I mean, just look at words. When you have a house, when you buy a house, you get a what? A mortgage, right? Do you know the word mortgage is called a death pledge? That's why when you die, you see a mortician at the mortuary at a morgue. If you want to know the whole thing about, you know, the actual law of the land, which has to do with admiralty law, which is actually land of the actual law of the sea, how they can get that on land. Well, look at the Washington Monument. You'll see about 3 feet above the ground, there's a brass ring, the brass bar that goes around it. That is sea level, according to the law. But if you want to look at, like money, what's another name for money? Currency. Break that down. Currency, right? What can you see on, where's a place you put your money or currency? You put it in the bank. Where can you also find a bank? On the sides of a river. What does a river do? Flow. What's another name of a flow? Current. Where does the river flow to? The sea. Current sea. It's all in the words. I've been teaching this for years. It's what's called hidden in plain sight. That information is put right in front of you and you never know what it was. And people will call it crazy conspiracy theory stuff. I feel bad for those people because they will never know what's going on. It's like if you're in a war, people don't say out loud, we're going to invade such and such place. They're going to use code words. They're going to use code terminology. And unless you know how to decipher those codes, you'll have no idea what it means. It'll just be gibberish or just regular conversation. It's the smart people, the wise people that actually know when information is just words or coded messages. Boy, we're going on a tangent this time. But again, I can't see how many people are watching and how many people have liked it. But whoever liked it, thank you. So, CGC, if all this stuff is true, shame on them. Shame on them for not saying anything, and shame on them for not doing anything and have to wait to be sued to actually even potentially acknowledge the scenario. Now, to be fair, it could be somebody just making an accusation. Just remember, just because somebody gets accused of something, Donald Trump, Excuse me, sorry. Just because somebody's accused of something doesn't mean they actually did it. Be very careful about that. So I will also play devil's advocate. CGC hasn't said anything yet. Now, that could be plausible deniability. It could be them trying to cover their own asses. Or maybe it's somebody trying to make a situation that did not happen. So we'll have to wait and see about that. I will give even people that I have issues with the benefit of the doubt. Because even a criminal can see another crime, and actually just because they've committed a crime in the past doesn't mean their information isn't accurate. That's why you see politicians and media and all these different people right now, they never criticize people's information. They criticize their character. And it seems to work by calling people homophobic or transphobic or racist or blah, 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 instead of actually going through the facts. It's called deflection. And it works. Oh, Agu, I'm up to 16 people? Hallelujah. I'm being mobbed. And that's fine. Like I've said before, quality over quantity. So I wouldn't have even known of this situation if it wasn't for Trade Paper Dad. So thank you for that information. And again, I'm basing it on what I've been told here. I cannot confirm and deny the situation. And if CGC hasn't said anything yet, that could either mean they're hiding it, trying to deny it as long as possible to try and put out the fire, or maybe it never happened and somebody's just making an accusation to take advantage of a situation. Which, if that's true, is pretty damn pathetic on that person's behalf. You know, you could claim somebody did something to you, and you may even get taken to court, and you may actually have to pay $83 million in supposed damages without an ounce of proof. Doesn't mean you did it. And if you can't say that to somebody that you don't like, and can only say it about people you do like, you are, my friend, a hypocrite. You have to be able to call out even the people you love if they do the wrong thing, willingly and knowingly. And that's the problem with what's going on in this entire world, is we have two sides fighting, saying their side is 100% right. There is no such thing, and there is such a thing. And because here's the part of life that most people will not understand. And I've talked about this before, and I'm going to leave it on this note. How you can have two people in the same situation, viewing or experiencing the same exact thing, having two exact opposite situations occurring at the same time, and both be right. Even though the other will see it from their perspective and say the other person's wrong. And I've used the roller coaster analogy. If you have two people in the front row of a roller coaster, one person loves roller coasters. The other person has never been on a roller coaster, is scared to death and didn't want to go on, but basically was convinced to go on. They're both in the same car. They're both going on the same ride at the same time, but both of their experiences are different. The one who loves roller coasters is having the time of their life. It is the most fun. They can't wait to get back on it. It was the greatest ride. They had such a great time laughing and putting their hands up the whole entire ride. The other person who is afraid to do it had a whole different experience of that same scenario. They maybe got sick, or they were scared to death, and they hated it, and they couldn't wait for it to end, and they would say they would never go on it. Both situations happened at the same exact time. Both people experienced different scenarios out of the same situation. Both of them are right. The problem with the world is each side is trying to tell the other that their experience is the only experience. So the other has to be wrong. So that's like the person that enjoyed it saying to the person that hated it, you're crazy. How could you hate it? I loved it. And it's like the person who hated it saying to the person who loved it, how could you love it? It was scary. I threw up. I was sick. They're both right. Sounds like Bill Hicks. All right, Punisher, we got a smart guy. All right. I'm glad you know who Bill Hicks. Bill Hicks was so ahead of his time. But no, I've studied philosophy. I've studied many things. People totally underestimate me because I make videos about comic books and I don't talk about much of this stuff. Believe it or not. The things you've heard on this channel are probably 5% of the things I know and or are aware of. But I also think about common sense, about not being afraid to deduct reasoning. Like, for example, how come throughout our human history, not one doctor, when anybody's ever gotten a cold or a flu, why no doctor in human history has told people you should wear a mask until recently? Why is it that firemen, when they go into a burning building, don't use regular masks to cover their faces, when the molecules of a smoke particle are about 100 times larger than a particle of the coronavirus? No one ever asked these things. Common sense. And if you look on my channel, because I always back up what I say, my Barn on 11970, it was either in the year 2020 or 2021. While everybody else was wearing masks, I was the only person that didn't wear them, and actually filmed myself live at the United States Postal Service, waiting online, inside, without a mask, while every single person, and this is in Florida, was wearing one. You could believe whatever you want to believe, because remember, whether you believe something or don't believe something, you're both wrong because neither one of you knows something. But I trust my instincts, your God-given ability to be able to call out bullshit, because there is no the science. If that was true, the world would still be flat, and we'd be using leeches and knocking people unconscious to operate on them, if science doesn't change and science is always right. I mean, really? Come on, people. This is supposed to be a modern time, and people have become dumber? I mean, can you guys stop making Idiocracy to seem like it's a documentary? Funny story about that sketch. He said, I did that, was denied service. When they tried to deny me service, and I said to them, because I know about the law, and I told them, you cannot enforce this. You can call the cops right now. They won't be able to do a damn thing. And I remember the lady behind the counter said, well, I'm ordering you to comply. And even everybody wearing a mask laughed at her. I said, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know this was Nazi Germany. Please continue. And I put on my camera. You got to know your rights. See, the problem is, as they say, ignorance of the law is no excuse. So if you don't know your rights, you will easily be informed that you can't do something. I was told that. Not in that particular video, though, because they knew me at that point. Because I was a regular, because, you know, I was mailing a lot of comics and buying a lot of comics at that point, so I was going to the post office a lot. But I knew the BS, even though I wasn't a scientist. Which I always hate when people say things like that, like you have to be an expert to be able to talk about something. If that's the case, not one of you should have ever cooked your own meal in your lifetime without going to chef school and learning how to become a chef. How dare you make a bowl of cereal without going to school to learn first how to do it by a quote-unquote expert? You know, there was I think a MSNBC conversation with a lady the other day by this one, let's just say, non-light-skinned woman that has a hairpiece that looks like Donald Trump's, arguing with an organization that was against child pornography. And she's saying, well, what expert background do you have to be able to talk about it? Really? You need to be an expert to know that doing things inappropriately to somebody of underage is wrong? Really? I hope she has a private chef to cook all her food, because how dare she make her own meal without going to culinary school to learn how to cook? I mean, if we're going to be in crazy world, you might as well go to that point. So in other words, you need to be an expert at everything to be able to say anything? Really? Since when? If that's the case, not one person in any news organization should ever be able to open their mouth again. Because they don't spew facts. They spew vomit in the form of written word, which, by the way, no one ever asks, how come so many news organizations, when they talk about a topic, every single one of them from every single organization talks about the same thing and not one even ever questions it? Anyone ever ask why? I sure do. But I'm the crazy one. So, hopefully that answers your CGC question. If you like these kind of rants, you are more than likely and welcome to want to hit that thumbs up button. You don't have to. You can hit the thumbs down button if you want. If this helped you from falling asleep, and that's all you get out of it, that's good. If you want to listen to me for this long, God bless you. I don't think I could. I don't know how my wife does it, but I don't think she has to hear rants like this. Like I said, she's subscribed to my channel and she's a moderator, but she'll never watch these videos, and that's okay. I want her to love me. So if you even like me, thank you. If you took the time to leave a comment, appreciated. Let me know your thoughts about the situation. And start calling out people that do wrong. Or at least start educating people that may be unaware of the wrong. Good luck with your CGC books, everyone, if you want to use them. Hopefully they'll come back the way they were supposed to, and hopefully they come back. By their deeds you shall know them. Let's see how long this time it takes CGC to respond. You know, if you're accused of something you didn't do, you tend to say something right away. If some stranger you've never met said that you graped them, grape, one of those little purple fruits. If you did not, you're going to say something real quick. You're not going to go days without defending yourself. So when a company is accused of something and they're silent, you might want to ask why. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day. And don't forget, it's not you, it's not I, it's We Love Comics. And don't forget to have your trolls spayed or neutered. Have a wonderful day, everybody. And remember, about 3 hours ago, I actually showed a comic. Let me know what you thought about it if you saw it. If you're one of my power viewers, speak it loud and proud and put it in the comments section. Power viewers, watch a video from beginning to end. If you're an ultra power viewer, that means every time you click on one of my videos, you watch them all from beginning to end. If you can do that, God bless you. Or Allah bless you, or pizza pie bless you if you want to worship pizza. Might be a smarter alternative these days. Have a wonderful day, and help me make one of these trades happen by seeing one of these books on the bottom of the screen scrolling by and saying, hey, I have that. I want to do a trade with Chris. Contact me, peacefulfeelings@yahoo.com. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next video.